So my journey with God has always been different. It's been a long process from start to finish. We've been growing in our faith, as a family, individually, and my relationship with God was always there, but now more than ever, within the past, I would say 2 or 3 years, I really focused on putting Him at the forefront of my business. And when I found out I was having my daughter, it was really, I was scared. I was looking for another job. I was looking for, my mind was everywhere, and it put me in a scared mode. But as I leaned into God during that time, and I was like, well, you know what? It's either I do something about it and I build my relationship with Him, or I continue to be scared and I don't become the father, mentor, and man that I needed to become. And so it was one or the other. And I couldn't just keep, being in both. I couldn't keep staying with one foot in, one foot out. And so eventually, I just decided to go full force into His word, full force into Him. And as soon as I trusted Him fully and surrendered my business to Him, that's all I needed to do. The biggest change that I noticed after I gave my life to God was the people around me. And so they often say that, you're the average between the five people you hang around the most. And, that was the first thing that I noticed. The first thing I noticed was that my circle changed, and the people around me and the people that were attracted to me and wanted to be around me in my circle were also other Christians looking to build something and grow in their faith and give back and help. And that was the biggest noticeable difference. It was that, as I was changing and growing in my faith, other people were growing as well alongside me. And every single day, I just look forward to it because I know that tomorrow brings more community, more help with friends and family, and we're just growing God's kingdom together. Every day it's a battle, and it's not easy, but it is well worth it. Growing in my relationship with God really helped me to become patient, slow to anger. I was able to control my thoughts, control my emotions better because I surrendered them to Him. And He was therefore controlling it and helping me and refer my life back to verses from the Bible, which inevitably gave me the confidence, gave me the endurance, and gave me the strength to just persevere and keep going. Now every time I'm faced with, adversity or whatever it is, I revert back to the Word, because the Word is life. The Word is what keeps us focused. In every single book that you read, Tony Robbins, Napoleon, Think and Grow Rich, all of these books are the principles are derived from the Bible. I've read countless books, but they all are the same and they all have the same principles. So if you follow the Bible and you enjoy it and you actually lean into relationship with God, that is really all you need. You don't need to read all these books. You just need the Bible. One of the biggest testimonies that I've had was when I was, going through a bunch of turmoil in my life, and I was just not in the right, I was in the right headspace because I was just praying and just meditating and just really trying to get close to God. And so I was volunteering. And during this time frame, it was funny because someone messaged me on Facebook. It was a Sunday, and somebody was like, "Hey, donate to this fundraiser. If you win, you get, a prize, whatever it is." And I kind of blew it off. I was like, "Well, that's cool." I was like, "But I'm probably not gonna donate, because I didn't know. I didn't want to read into it. I kind of just blew it off. But I remained faithful to God. I was still praying, reading the Bible, and then Monday comes along, passes, Tuesday comes along, and I go to the gym. And it just so happened that I go at this certain time when there was somebody at the front. They had a table out, and he was promoting the same fundraiser that was sent to me on Sunday. And I was like, that's interesting. Let's stop and see what this is about. And so we stopped and we introduced ourselves to the gentleman at the booth. And he was like, "Hey guys, would you guys like to join this raffle? You can win the prize. This donation gets put towards X amount of tickets to the raffle." And so I was like, okay, cool. So in my heart, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to donate, $100. I donated $100 to this fundraiser. And I was just talking to the gentleman, we formed a really good connection. And he was like, here, my wife makes these little keychains, and the little keychain was like, the faith of a mustard seed could move mountains. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's true. We hear that verse a lot, and we're like, okay, well, what does that mean? That's beautiful, and it's true, but what does it mean? How can we use that practically in our life? Is it just have faith? Can we move an actual mountain? Like, no, he's not really saying we can move an actual mountain. Maybe we don't know how God uses us, but in the practicality of the verse, I think it just means to have a little bit of faith, and you'll be able to get through, and God will bring you through anything that comes your way. And so with that in mind, that was just a seed planted in my mind, little mustard seed planted. And but again, went about my workout, went about my day, and then the next day was Wednesday. At that time, I was volunteering with the youth, the kids and the youth. I was volunteering with the youth pastor and whatnot, and we were taking care of like teenagers and young adults. And I was walking in, and the youth pastor was like, "Hey, you have to make sure that you introduce yourself to the kids. Make them comfortable, tell them what to do, where to go. When the buzzer goes off, they need to go inside and start worshiping." So I was like, okay, cool. So I walked in, and I went up to one kid, and I was like, "Hey, your shirt looks familiar." I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's my dad's business. It's my dad's jujitsu business." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I was like, "Do you fight? Are you in jujitsu?" And he was like, "I was, but not anymore because I hurt my back. I was diagnosed with a disease, and essentially hindered me from doing jujitsu." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, I'm sure you'll get back to it. But your shirt still looks very familiar. Who's your dad?" And he was like, "Well, my dad's, he started this nonprofit. They do jujitsu, they raise money for veterans." I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." It's funny because I met somebody yesterday, and he was doing the fundraiser for this event, and that's pretty interesting. I actually got this keychain from it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's my dad." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That's cool, that's cool." And so we continued to talk, and I got to know him some more. And so the church went on, and youth pastor said his sermon. We lined up, and we were praying over the kids. Now it's an opportunity for the kids to come up and to get prayed on. And I stood up there, and I was waiting for some kids to come up to me, and here comes the boy, and he comes up and he was like, "Hey, can you pray for me? Can you pray for my back?" And at that time, I just felt super close to God, and I felt like it was the right thing to do, and I truly felt that he would be healed. And so I said, "Yes, of course, I'll pray for you." And so I put my hand on his shoulder, and I just prayed, and I just asked God to remove it, remove whatever's going on, give this boy the ability to do jujitsu again. Don't take this from him. And I prayed, and I let him go, and well, actually, before I let him go, I asked him. I said, how do you feel?" He was like, "Well, I don't have any more pain." Immediately after this prayer, he was like, "I don't have any more pain." And I was like, "Okay, um, well, when's your next doctor's appointment?" And he was like, "Next week." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna see you back here next Wednesday. I want you to tell me how you feel and how your appointment went." And so fast forward to the following week, I asked him again. I was like, "Hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Is your back okay?" And he was like, "I went to the doctors, and the doctor said I was fully healed. There was nothing wrong with him." And it was that moment that I realized that God is using us in crazy ways, that we just have to put our faith forward and trust in him. And he will use us as a vessel, and he will use us to heal people. It says in the Bible that we will do greater works than even Jesus did when he was on earth. And so, it's just amazing what he plans for us when we actually give him our all, give him our faith, give him our trust, and give him the faith of a mustard seed and see what he can do.